In a shocking turn of events, veteran Kenyan politician Raila Odinga suffered a humiliating defeat in his bid for the African Union Commission (AUC) chairmanship. What was expected to be a competitive race quickly turned into a political landslide, with Odinga securing only a handful of votes from the 55-member African Union, far below the required threshold. The room fell into silence. The votes had been counted. Raila Odinga, the man who had carried the hopes of millions from Kenya, the statesman who had fought for democracy across Africa, had lost. And not just lost, he had been humiliated. The final tally was brutal. His opponents had swept the election in a landslide so overwhelming that his name seemed like an afterthought. Leaders who had once promised him their support turned their backs at the last moment, leaving him isolated, betrayed. He hadn't just been defeated, he had been abandoned. Outside in the streets of Nairobi, his supporters huddled around radios and television screens, hoping against hope that the announcement would change. When the final verdict came, a wave of devastation spread like wildfire. Some wept openly, their hands covering their faces in disbelief. Others stared blankly, too numb to process what had happened. A woman lamented, "How? How could they do this to him? To us?" Social media erupted in anger and sorrow. Messages poured in from every corner of Kenya and beyond. Words of heartbreak, disbelief, and sheer pain. The man who had fought for Africa's unity, who had dreamed of a stronger, independent continent, had been cast aside like he was nothing. In the recent African Union Commission AUC chairperson election held on February 15, 2025, Djibouti's Foreign Minister Mahamoud Ali Yusuf was elected as the new leader of the AUC. He defeated Raila Odinga, former Prime Minister of Kenya, and Richard Randriamandrato, ex-Foreign Minister of Madagascar. Yusuf will serve a 4-year term, succeeding Moussa Faki of Chad, who has held the post since 2017. The election took place during the AU summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Yusuf, who has been Djibouti's foreign minister since 2005, secured the position after multiple rounds of voting. Raila Odinga, a prominent political figure in Kenya, was eliminated in the 6th round of voting, ending his quest to become Africa's top diplomat. In the initial rounds, all 3 candidates vied for the position. Richard Randriamandrato was the first to be eliminated after trailing in the early rounds, specifically the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rounds of voting. This left Yusuf and Odinga in a head-to-head contest. Round 1. Raila Odinga led the initial round, securing 20 votes, while Mahamoud Ali Yusuf received 18 votes. Richard Randriamandrato trailed with a smaller share, leading to his elimination after the early rounds. Despite Odinga's lead, no candidate achieved the required 2/3 majority, necessitating additional rounds, rounds 2 to 4. The competition intensified between Odinga and Yusuf. Both candidates engaged in strategic lobbying to garner support from the 55 AU member states. Vote counts remained close, with neither candidate reaching the 2/3 majority needed for victory. Round 5. Momentum began to shift in favor of Yusuf. He gained additional support, surpassing Odinga in vote count. This change indicated a realignment of alliances among member states, possibly influenced by diplomatic negotiations and regional interests. Specific details regarding which countries shifted their support between candidates during the voting rounds are not publicly disclosed, as the AU conducts its elections via secret ballot. to maintain confidentiality and encourage honest voting among member states. Round 6. Yusuf maintained his lead over Odinga. Odinga's inability to secure sufficient votes led to his elimination from the race. This outcome was a significant setback for Odinga, a prominent figure in African politics, marking the end of his bid for the AUC chairperson position. Final outcome. Following Odinga's elimination, Yusuf stood unopposed in the subsequent round and secured the chairmanship by obtaining the requisite 33 votes. This victory marked a significant diplomatic achievement for Djibouti and positioned Yusuf to lead the African Union Commission for the next 4 years. Odinga, known for his long and storied political career in Kenya, launched his campaign with high expectations, leveraging his diplomatic connections and experience. However, his bid was plagued by miscalculations, including lukewarm support from key East African nations and a well-organized opposition from Francophone West African states. Despite efforts to rally leaders behind his candidacy, whispers of political baggage and concerns over his ability to unify the continent worked against him. Critics argued that his past struggles in Kenyan elections and his perceived alignment with certain Western interests made him a risky choice. When their votes were cast, the results were worse than even Odinga's harshest critics had predicted. His main opponent, a little-known but well-connected diplomat from a southern African nation, swept the election with overwhelming support. Reports indicated that Odinga failed to secure significant backing even within his own regional bloc, leading to speculation about behind-the-scenes betrayals. Following the announcement, Odinga took to social media, acknowledging the defeat but expressing disappointment in what he called undue influence from external players. His supporters blamed Kenya's lukewarm diplomatic efforts, while analysts pointed to his overconfidence in securing backing from key AU power brokers. For Odinga, this loss marked yet another setback in his long political career. While some believe this could be the end of his ambitions on the continental stage, others argue that, true to his nature, he may yet find another battle to fight. Meanwhile, the new AUC chairperson pledged to focus on economic development and conflict resolution, signaling a new era for the African Union, one that, unfortunately for Odinga, would move forward without him.